Israel utilizes an AI program to find targets. The name of this program is called Lavender. And this has come out just recently, this story. So a number of years ago, Israel developed this program. Some leading IDF figurehead did a lecture in Tel Aviv a number of years ago saying that we should start using AI to find targets because it's humanly impossible to find a very, very large number of targets. It's very difficult to rely on just human brains to find targets. So what Israel decided to do in this war is go to this AI program called Lavender and give the AI program all of this criteria to find a specific target. In this case, Israel is looking for terrorists. And so what the Israelis did was they took all of the internet history going on in the internet in Gaza. So they said, okay, look at all the internet activities that people are doing in Gaza. Take all that information, their internet history from their phones, their WhatsApp, put all that information in the AI program, and then let the AI program sort out who is a terrorist. So the Israelis put together some criteria. Who you talk to on your WhatsApp app. Things that you're looking at on the internet on your phone. How many times you've changed phones. That was another criteria. How many times you've changed addresses. That was another criteria. They put all this information through Lavender, and Lavender said, okay, you have about 37,000 or so terrorists in Gaza. Here are all their addresses. And Israel just started hitting all their addresses. Israel was using a computer system to find the targets. And before they hit a target, they spend about 20 seconds pondering whether or not they should hit the target. And they almost always do. Israel has another AI program called Where's Daddy? Now, that's a very cynical and eerie way to title something like that. But they call it Where's Daddy? And why do they call it Where's Daddy? It's because the Where's Daddy AI program tracks someone walking to their home. And once they get inside of their homes and they're with their wives and their children, the Where's Daddy program says, okay, they're at home. And then they hit the house. And they kill the target and they kill the whole family. And the reason why they call it Where's Daddy is because imagine a child being at home waiting for daddy saying, Where's Daddy? Here's Daddy. Boom. Everyone's dead. It's weird. It's just weird. So they put everything through Lavender. And Lavender says, okay, here's the terrorist. According to your criteria, here are the terrorists. So if you talked with someone who was suspicious on WhatsApp, okay, you're in the list. If you are a police officer in Gaza, you're in the kill list. If you have changed addresses, you're on the list. If you have changed your phones, if you've changed your phone, you've gotten a number of new phones, which is very common in Gaza, you're on the list. The thing about Lavender is that supposedly there's a 10% margin of error. So there is a chance that the person that Lavender tells you is a target is not really a legitimate target, according to the Israelis. But if you're just someone who got a new phone 2-3 times, you were on the list. Lavender had you on the kill list. So this is what the article says here. And I found this to be very disturbing because they're taking everyone's internet activities and putting it through a system saying, okay, find us some targets. And on days when they didn't have targets, the people in the upper echelons of military command would call up the soldiers, screaming at them, saying, give us some more targets. And so they would have to lessen the criteria for lavender. They would lessen the criteria to make the list broader so that they can get some new targets. Because the people in the higher ups say, we want more targets. Even if you don't have any targets for a day, if Lavender hasn't given you any targets for the day, tell Lavender to lessen the criteria to find more targets to kill. So imagine, you don't think America has got its own lavender program? You don't think America's got its own lavender? America has this technology. America has this technology. Oh my God. I want to show you guys something here. I almost forgot. America has got this technology. I haven't even researched it. I just have zero doubts. If America wanted to hunt down certain people within the United States, certain people considered a threat, unjustly considered a threat, it can do it. It can do it. People are talking about a civil war in America. You're not going to win. Oh, yes, we're going to overthrow the government. Oh, yeah, sure. You're not going to overthrow shit. Because you're dealing with Lavender. And Lavender knows where you live. They're going to put everyone's search activity. They're going to put everyone's search history, everyone's internet activities. They're going to put everyone's communications online, everyone's online communications through an AI system. And they're going to say, okay, find us the targets we want. If they don't like people who say certain things about Sodom, they don't like certain people who say certain things about whatever. They're going to, and you're saying things online. You're saying certain things online that they don't like. They put you in a database. And if they want to get rid of certain people unjustly, people who don't deserve to be taken out, all they got to do is put all of our internet activities on this damn Lavender thing, and they got their targets. Oh, we're gonna fight the government, Second Amendment. We're not living in the 1700s anymore. We're not living in the 1700s anymore. Back in the day, people had muskets and cannons and swords and knives, and, well, the government had the same damn set of weapons. So, yeah, you could do a revolution in the 1700s. You could do a revolution in the 1800s. You could do a revolution in the early 1900s. You could do a revolution in the 1920s, 30s. Try doing a revolution in the United States. They're going to find your ass. Yeah. So, but I don't really believe in revolutions. I'm not a huge believer in revolutions. I'm just putting it out there for all of you knuckleheads who say, "Oh yes, we're going to do a 1786 or whatever." Yeah, they're going to put Lavender on your ass. But the thing is that they just put it all in a computer system. They're not even using humanity to find the target. They just put it through a computer system. We are truly living in the Matrix. Everything we do on the internet is registered. Everything. Everything is watched. Everything is surveilled. Everything. And so all of your political rhetoric, all of your political jabbering, all this stuff is put through a data system. And so if they want to do something to you, if they want to find who's saying what, if they don't like certain rhetoric, if they want to find who's saying what, they'll find it. And this technology is everywhere. Have you seen the news about what Europe is doing lately? Europe has been hardcore investing in AI for their militaries. The Germans have been investing hardcore into their AI program for their military. If Germany wanted to do another Holocaust, it wouldn't need all of these human agents. It wouldn't need a bunch of Gestapo guys. All it would need is Lavender. Just use the Lavender system. Yeah, it just finds all the search history results on the Google. What are they saying on Instagram? What are they saying on the WhatsApp? What are they saying on Telegram app? On the app, just say whatever bullshit they're saying on the app. Put it to the Lavender, yeah? Put it to the Lavender. And they can do another Holocaust. Just Lavender. Forget the Gestapo. We got Lavender. Listen, no one cares if you like redheads. The government doesn't care if you like redheads. That's not the issue. The issue is people saying certain things that if the government wanted to do if a government, all right, I'm not going to be specific here. If a government wanted to do a Holocaust, they are way more efficient. They would be way more efficient at it than the Nazis or the Bolsheviks in the past or the Khmer Rouge in the past. Way more efficient, logistically speaking. All that we got to do is put everything through freaking Lavender. WhatsApp is encrypted. Sure. Yeah. It's encrypted. Right. Tell that to the people in Gaza. Because the Israelis put everyone's WhatsApp history through Lavender. They were saying, yeah, this guy talked to so-and-so who was suspicious on WhatsApp. He's a target now. Ain't nothing free. There's not... If you're not Amish, you're in the Matrix. You're on the internet. You're talking to people. You're using a dating app. If you're doing all this stuff, you are in the Matrix. You're in the Matrix. And Israel has a giant satellite in the sky called Ofek 13. You can look into this. Ofek 13 is the most state-of-the-art satellite out right now. And it was released early in 2023. Ofek 13. It is an intelligence satellite. Now, Israel has a signals intelligence unit known as Unit 8200. Unit 8200, that's what it's called. And they are a signals intelligence agency. By signals, I mean they are surveilling people's communications on the internet and in the airwaves through telephones. Ofek? Okay, it's Ofek. Ofek 13, everybody. Ofek 13. It's spelled O-F-E-K 13. Ofek. And it is the most state-of-the-art satellite, intelligence satellite out right now. It's in Israel. And they unleashed it in the air early in 2023. With such a high-tech satellite, you're telling me, with such a high-tech satellite, with this Lavender program, where they're able to hear everyone's conversations, including people in Gaza. They're able to surveil what people are saying online, what people are doing on the internet. They're even able to surveil how many phones you buy. They're able to surveil how many addresses you got, how many times you've changed your address. All this stuff, right? They're able to do it. They're able to do it. They got this giant Ofek satellite in space, most state-of-the-art intelligence satellite. And you're telling me that 1,000 ragtag terrorists on Toyota pickup trucks were able to break through the multi-billion-dollar fence between Israel and Gaza? You really believe that? Okay. You believe that. Whatever. That's your opinion. I refuse to believe that. Just like I refuse that 9/11 was just 19 guys who took over some planes. I listen, that happened. But there was more to it than that. That wasn't the full picture. I refuse to believe that was the full picture. Ofek 13, Lavender, all of this huge security apparatus, Unit 8200, signals intelligence, technology up the roof. Oh, and a bunch of terrorists on pickup trucks just broke through the fence. Yeah, it broke through the fence with NATO technology, by the way. You have to use a NATO Bangalore to bust a hole in the fence. You can see it in video. Oh, and they use bulldozers and power tools. Yup, that's right. Meanwhile, Israel's got a satellite in the sky that knows every time you're having a conversation with your girlfriend, every time you talk to your friends on WhatsApp, they got it. It's all on a computer system. Oh, so they use Lavender to find the terrorists when they're bombing the shit out of the region, but they didn't use Lavender to prevent the actual terrorist massacre? They didn't use Ofek 13 to prevent the massacre? Here we go. It's insane, guys. It's absolutely insane. But let's look at this article. Oh, that's the music. Let me find the lavender. Here we go, guys. The only lavender I know is the herb, which I grow outside. It's a very nice herb, by the way. But here's Lavender, the monster. Here's the monster, everybody. Here we go. AI machine directing Israel's bombing spree in Gaza. The Israeli army has marked tens of thousands of Gazans as suspects for assassination, using an AI targeting system with little human oversight and a permissive policy for casualties, etc., etc. So I'm going to fast forward here. There was a 2021 book written in Israel basically saying that we have to use AI to fight terrorism, etc., etc. According to 6 Israeli intelligence officers who have all served in the army during the current war on the Gaza Strip and had first-hand involvement with the use of AI to generate targets for assassination, Lavender has played a central role in the unprecedented bombing of Palestinians, especially during the early stages of the war. In fact, according to the sources, its influence on the military's operations was such that they essentially treated the outputs of the AI machine as if it were a human decision. There you go. So basically, Lavender said it, we believe it. You're on the list that Lavender chose, you dead. That's the policy. Formally, the Lavender system is designed to mark all suspected operatives in the military wings of Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, etc., including low-ranking ones, as potential bombing targets. The sources told Plus 972 and local Coal that during the first weeks of the war, the army almost completely relied on Lavender, which clocked as many as 37,000 Palestinians as suspected militants and their homes for possible airstrikes. During the early stages of the war, the army gave sweeping approval for officers to adopt Lavender's kill list with no requirement to thoroughly check why the machine made those choices or to examine the raw intelligence data on which they were based. One source stated that human personnel often served as a rubber stamp for the machine's decisions, adding that normally they would personally devote only about 20 seconds to each target, etc., etc. It says here, this was despite knowing that the system makes what are regarded as errors in approximately 10% of cases and is known to occasionally mark individuals who have merely a loose connection to militant groups or no connection at all. So you can be completely innocent, doesn't matter. Lavender says you need to die. We're living in the Matrix, everybody. Yeah, the Where's Daddy one. That's the one I found creepy. Where's Daddy? That's called it Where's Daddy, yeah, because little boy is saying where's Papa before he blow up, yeah. Let's see here. Certain area that I want to read here. In an unprecedented move, according to 2 of the sources, the army also decided during the first weeks of the war that for every junior Hamas operative the Lavender marked, it was permissible to kill up to 15 to 20 civilians. In the past, the military did not authorize any collateral damage during assassinations of low-ranking militants. The sources added that in the event that the target was a senior Hamas official with the rank of battalion or brigade commander, the army on several occasions authorized the killing of more than 100 civilians in the assassination of a single commander, etc., etc. Let's see here. Let's see here. Once the list was expanded to include tens of thousands of low-ranking operatives, the Israeli army figured it had to rely on automated software and artificial intelligence. The result, the sources testify, was that the role of human personnel in incriminating Palestinians as military operatives was pushed aside, and AI did most of the work instead. So they're not even relying that much on human intelligence. They're relying on automated intelligence. It's pretty scary, guys. The future is going to be horrifying, okay? This is a testing ground. Gaza is a big lab. That's what makes this so dehumanizing and eerie and disturbing. It's a lab. That's what this is. It's a lab. So they say, okay, let's see this AI. It's kind of like the Bayraktar drone in Turkey. Turkey showed its Bayraktar drone in Nagorno-Karabakh. And the world saw how Turkish drones can be very, very dangerous. And then Ukraine said, I want in on that. Send us some of those Turkish drones. Because the world saw the effectiveness of the Bayraktar drone in Azerbaijan, in Nagorno-Karabakh, against the Armenians. So the world is now seeing AI being used as a kill list producer. That's what we're seeing. It's horrifying. If a country wants to do a Holocaust at the level that the Nazis did, they would be much, much more efficient. We want to kill all people of this particular group. We want to kill all people of this particular race, religious group, etc. Find everybody. We want to kill people who criticize the state. Find everybody. Put all their internet information through Lavender. Got the list. We got everybody's addresses. You ain't hiding anywhere. Once the list was expanded, etc., and it says here that the list developed a list of 37,000 people. We didn't know who the junior operatives were because Israel didn't track them routinely, etc., etc. They wanted to allow us to attack, etc., etc. Look what this one guy says. We took out thousands of people. We didn't go through them one by one. We put everything into automated systems. And as soon as one of the marked individuals was at home, he immediately became a target. We bombed him in his house. Let's see here. So this goes back to a book called The Human Machine Team. The book referenced at the beginning of this article. The current commander of Unit 8200 advocates for such a system without referencing Lavender by name. The commander himself also is not named, but 5 sources in 8200 confirmed that the commander is the author, as reported also by Haaretz, describing human personnel as a bottleneck that limits the Army's capacity during a military operation. The commander laments, quote, "We humans cannot process so much information. It doesn't matter how many people you have tasked to produce targets during the war. You still cannot produce enough targets per day." Let's see here. The solution to this problem, he says, is artificial intelligence. So the book offers a short guide to building a target machine, similar in description to Lavender, based on AI and machine learning algorithms. Included in this guide are several examples of the hundreds of thousands of features that can increase an individual's rating, such as being in a WhatsApp group with a known militant, changing cell phone every few months, and changing addresses frequently. So they got all your information, they put it through a database, you're done. That's it. The more information and the more verity, the better. Visual information, cellular information, social media connections, battlefield information, phone contacts, photos, all this stuff is factored into Lavender. A senior officer who used Lavender echoed to +972 and local call that in the current war, officers were not required to independently review the AI system's assessment in order to save time and enable the mass production of human targets without hindrances. So they were not required to independently verify the targets. Everything was statistical. Everything was neat. It was very dry. He noted that this lack of supervision was permitted despite internal checks showing that Lavender's calculations were considered accurate only 90% of the time. In other words, it was known in advance that 10% of the human targets slated for assassination were not members of the Hamas military wing at all. For example, sources explain that the Lavender machine sometimes mistakenly flagged individuals who had communication patterns similar to known Hamas or PIJ operatives, including police and civil defense workers, militants, relatives, residents who had happened to have a name and nickname identical to that of an operative. So if your name so happens to be identical to that of a terrorist, you're on the list. Gazans who use a device that once belonged to a Hamas operative, etc., etc. How close does a person have to be to Hamas to be considered by an AI machine to be affiliated with the organization? Said one source critical of Lavender's inaccuracy. It's a vague boundary. Is a person who doesn't receive a salary from Hamas but helps them with all sorts of things a Hamas operative? Is someone who was in Hamas in the past but is no longer there today a Hamas operative, etc., etc.? Similar problems exist with the ability of target machines to assess the phone used by an individual marked for assassination. In war, Palestinians change phones all the time. People lose contact with their families, give their phone to a friend or a wife, maybe lose it. There is no way to rely 100% on the automatic mechanism that determines which phone number belongs to whom. So sometimes they give a phone, they would lose it. Oh, you changed phones. You're suspicious. There was no zero error policy. Mistakes were treated statistically, etc., etc. There's one line here that really... Let's see here. Hold on. One source who worked with the military data science team that trained Lavender said that data collected from the employees of the Hamas-run internal security ministry, whom he does not consider to be militants, was also fed into the machine. I was bothered by the fact that when Lavender was trained, they used the term Hamas operative loosely and included people who were civil defense workers in the training dataset. So police officers were targets. The source added that even if one believes these people deserve to be killed, training the system based on their communication profiles made Lavender more likely to select civilians by mistake when its algorithm were applied to the general population. There's something here I wanted to show you guys. The next stage in the Israeli armed assassination procedure is identifying where to attack the targets, etc., etc. The 6 sources we spoke to echoed this to some degree, saying that Hamas's extensive tunnel system deliberately passed under hospitals, etc., etc. So the sources explained that a major reason for the unprecedented death toll from Israel's current bombardment is the fact that the army has systematically attacked targets in their private homes alongside their families, in part because it was easier from an intelligence standpoint to mark family houses using automated systems. So they would just hit your address, kill you and your family, and that, to a great extent, explains the higher numbers of people killed. So there was one part where they said they would always want targets, no matter what. They just wanted more targets. So here's something disturbing. B said that the reason for this automation was a constant push to generate more targets for assassination. In a day without targets whose feature rating was sufficient to authorize a strike, we attacked at a lower threshold. We were constantly being pressured. Bring us more targets. They really shouted at us. We finished killing our targets very quickly. So this guy would say, in a day without targets, they would call him up and say, no, you got to kill some more people. Lower down the criteria. Lessen the criteria so we can get more targets.